Okay, let's talk about transitions, specifically inside Resolve, because Resolve already has a bunch of great transitions built in, which is why when Visual Effects reached out to me to ask me to make a video on their transitions, I told them I would want to try the transitions actually before making any sort of decision, which is why we're sitting here right now, because the pack that they have created is actually really insane, and I'm really excited to show you what's inside. So for me personally, when I'm editing, most of my stuff is very simple cuts. I am not really using any sort of like whip pan transitions or any crazy flash effects in my edit. But when I do, I usually have a pretty specific idea of what I want to use, which is why this pack is actually pretty exciting for me, because they literally have every single base covered that you could possibly imagine. Everything from like glitches to whip pans to simple camera movements. So when I actually have something in mind, I know it's already created within this pack. And that is something that I really appreciate saving time for. So let's pop open Resolve and I'll show you a couple different use cases because they really do have everything covered. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's go through the transition bundle from Visual Effects. We have bright light, some camera move packs, some flips, glitches, some morphing transitions, some rotations and shadow effects, as well as split and stretch. One thing that's really easy to do is just overuse transitions when they aren't needed. And that's kind of what I mean when I was saying like I just mainly stick to simple edits, because it's really easy just to use like a flip transition or a crash zoom when it's really not needed. With something like the bright light pack, a lot of these might be overkill when you're first just looking at them until a situation arises. Like for this video, I was flipping back between digital and camcorder footage, and I wanted something that actually would kind of lend itself to the eye to make it known that we're leaving digital and going to camcorder footage. And for this, I actually used the glow effect. So if we look at this, let me just delete that really quick. In this case, the transition really helps the footage, and that's the best suggestion I can make when using transitions is let the footage kind of dictate what transition you're going to use. Is the footage moving left to right? Do you need something that's going to break your visual pattern that's happening, just like this example here? And the last thing I'll say about using heavy transitions is use them sparingly so they actually make more of an impact, because if you overuse them, they just kind of lose all meaning. Okay, let's look at my favorite pack in this all-in-one bundle. And because I am more of a simple edit kind of guy, the camera move simple is definitely my go-to for pretty much every single video. So out of this entire camera move simple pack, my most used transition is just a camera push from left to right. I probably use that in almost every single video, but they have every direction you could possibly want. So for this transition, it was kind of a push down. And the super handy thing here, if you look closely, you can see that every thumbnail has the actual direction of what way the transition is going. So this one's kind of going in a circle, but to down towards the right, and vice versa here. And yeah, I find that super helpful. Now, if you were to pick up any individual transition pack from Visual Effects, this is the one that I would recommend, just because I feel like it's so versatile that you could use it from corporate work all the way to any sort of social work and anything in between. Okay, let's take a look at one really underrated way I think most people don't really use transitions, and that's to add a little bit of spice to motion graphics or titles. So right now, I'll specifically make graphics or titles without in or out animations, knowing that I'll just use a transition later to make the effect I want actually work. So that way I can properly time the in or out depending on what I actually need. Okay, so let's look at this little chunk here in this edit where I added some titles. It's a perfect example of where I just exported some titles without any in or out animations. So while I was editing, this is what the actual titles look like without any transitions on them. By doing it this way, I get to run through all the transitions and pick kind of what best goes with the video that I'm editing. And for this, it was actually more of a VHS vibe. So it could have ended up with something like this. And here's what I actually settled on when I added transitions to each of the titles. And you can see that it adds a really fun like in animation to it. This is probably my favorite way to use transitions in general. It adds a lot while you're animating, and it takes a ton of work off your hands. So I was going through the transition bundle in this video, but you can actually buy each pack separately. So if you just want the glitch or you just want the zoom transitions or anything like that. Visual Effects also offers other packs like light leaks, LUTs, and sound effects. And if you're interested in more than one thing, I would definitely suggest just going with the all-in-one bundle because it's definitely the best bang for buck. Okay, thanks for watching, and head to the link in the description if you want to learn out more about visualeffects.com and see what else they have to offer. But that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next one. Peace.